Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z. We are three generations, three perspectives, but one cup of truth. So get ready for a refreshing take on hot button topics because we're going to be brewing up a steaming hot take on today's most pressing issues where we're going to dish on everything from social justice to pop culture with humor, honesty, and maybe just a little healthy debate. We're going to sip the tea, spill the honest truth, and then find common ground across the generational gap. This show is informative, it's insightful, and it is guaranteed to stir the pot. So, everyone, greetings from Dr. Melissa, who is representing the exhilarating Generation X. I know.
And what's up, y'all? I am Amber, holding it down for us millennials.
And what's going on, y'all? I'm Zion, keeping it real for Generation Z.
Sometimes I laugh at myself because I just can't do a regular intro.
Nah, your intro sounds like a promotion for a new X-Men movie or something.
Oh, not X-Men movie.
Yeah, exhilarating. You see the big X on the screen?
Professor X.
Shout out Fox, man.
Yes,
Love the
okay.
movie.
No, I tried. I'm telling you, I tried to be as swaggy as y'all. Swaggy.
Swaggy.
Oh,
but anyway.
Okay. Here we go with the slang. I got
it. So listen, family. Today, and I use that word, no pun intended. Today's topic we are all just really excited about because oftentimes we talk about topics that may or may not be relevant to any particular person that's watching us, right?
Nice.
Sometimes we're talking about things that's kind of heavy on the X factor. Sometimes we're talking about the nonsense of the Y and Z.
Yeah.
This topic, though, that we're going to talk about today, I'm going to tell you, if you are breathing and listening to us, it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say off the bat that it is very likely that we're going to do a two-part on this particular topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
right?
It's juicy, y'all.
Yeah, it's juicy. I don't think we can do it justice with just one episode. So today we're going to be talking about families.
Yes.
And in particular, we're going to be talking about the blending of families. Right? And I'm going to go ahead and let you know right off the bat that each of us, we sort of have a different perspective of what that looks like, as many of you would.
Right.
So when we talk about families and we talk about the blending of families, right? Let me throw out there that the definition of family has changed over the generations.
Absolutely.
Yes. Ooh.
Right?
Big time.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So back in the day, the way you would define a family would be mom, dad, and the kids, right?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily how it looks now.
Definitely not.
Sometimes you end up creating your own family. You know what I'm saying?
You got a lot of
true.
And it might not be bloodline.
Got a lot of friends that are typically your family.
Yeah.
A lot of people associate their pets to be their family.
Yes.
Like family's a whole lot more extensive now.
Yes. Yes.
And I like how we call people family. Like, what's up, family?
And sometimes we shouldn't.
Well, we get these buzzwords, right?
We do.
Right? And so I know I say fam to people all the time.
Oh,
my
absolutely.
husband says it all the time. What's up, fam?
Yeah.
But now,
especially if y'all cool like that.
Right.
You know it's just easy to do.
I'll say some people you really ain't even cool with them like that, and you just hit them with that wrong word, and you contemplate it later that night like, dang,
why did I do that? I think a lot of us do that all the time.
But I'm going to say this. I think that might be more appropriate than you could know because, honey, sometimes the biggest dysfunction and the people that are the biggest hot messes in your life are
your family.
Absolutely.
Like people that share your blood, right?
I was just about to say the blood ones, you know what I'm saying?
The blood.
The ones that you sometimes trying to break the generational curses.
She didn't use that phrase, did she? Yeah. So family, let's talk about this. Let's dish on this. Because when we talk about blended families, and I'm going to tell you, we can already throw out there that anytime you talk about family, people get touchy,
Yes.
tribal, and protective.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you that from being in the therapist field for the past 30 years. You know, I can be asking a client about anything and it's cool. But I ask the question about the family, but tell me about your mama. And they're like, oh,
I don't want to talk about that.
Whoa. First of all, we ain't getting ready to talk about my mom.
Yeah.
So we know that it's touchy. Yeah. But let's talk a little bit today about how we are in this society now, having to blend families. What does that look like? Is it still the traditional mom and dad are married, and you have 2.5 kids and 3 dogs and a white picket fence?
No, I can speak for me. I mean, I have a lot of different takes on this topic, honestly. So I'm gonna keep it simple with just speaking from me currently.
Okay.
And then I can double back to the other perspectives. But me currently, I would definitely want the white picket fence like they tell you that it should be. But how it is right now for me, no, it's not. Yes, I have 2 children, but of course you guys know that my children's biological dad passed away. So how it looks right now is we're blended. My boyfriend, Grace, he loves the role of stepping in and being, the what we call it,
like the father figure.
Yeah, father figure, but they bonus dad. That's what people call it. Yeah.
Okay.
I've had a brain fart, y'all know that happens. But he loves the role of a bonus dad, but it doesn't mean that it looks different from how people perceive it to be.
Yeah.
Because you can still be a bonus dad, but take on the role of being someone's father. I mean, whoever you want your dad to be, if they take on those duties in that role and they treat you and love you as much as a father should or a dad should, I don't think blood really matters.
Yeah,
if that individual is not here, of course you don't want to step on nobody's toes and you want to play in your lane, but you do have some people that are in the same similar situation as my daughters, where their biological dad is no longer here,
right?
So
just don't even want to be in their child's life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
no toes to step on.
That part right there.
Well, if your toes ain't there, we can't step on
exactly. Ain't no toes.
I mean, if you don't want, put your toes there. And sometimes
exactly.
people that are supposed to be in a role choose not to be in that role.
Yeah.
And then we feel like we still have to honor that space.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And oftentimes that's coming from people around us as well. Because it's like, well, this is this and this person is that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, like, biologically producing a seed does not make you a mother or a father.
Right.
It doesn't. No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And people got to be okay with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if it offends you, then you have to evaluate yourself. I will say that.
Right.
It shouldn't offend you.
Right, right. So for you, being in a situation, you were forced to be a single parent,
absolutely.
because of something that was unfortunate and tragic, right?
Absolutely.
And now having to walk that line of how do you blend while still trying to honor
absolutely
what was.
Yeah, it is not the easiest task, and there's no rule book on how to do it. I didn't have anybody in my life to say this is how you do it, because a lot of people around me, unfortunately, where I'm from, it happens more often than you would think.
You mean like tragedies?
Yeah, tragedies. Yeah, of what happened. So like nobody really knows how to handle a situation like this. You can only do the best that you can. And for how I maneuver it is I put my kids first, regardless of how I might feel about the situation or, their dad or whatever the case may be. It's still about them. It's not about me. So even when it comes to, the other relatives, it's still about my kids.
Yeah.
I want to afford them the opportunity of having a dad because they deserve it.
Yeah.
So it's, again, y'all, it's not easy. You do what's best for you and what you feel comfortable with. At the end of the day. And if your children are happy with the situation that you're in and that's who they want to be, their dad or their father, I mean, I feel like they both run the same thing. And if they love them, and you don't come across a lot of people that love your children as much as you do and they're not theirs. like that's not an often occurrence. So
Yeah. And it's real talk. And the thing about it is there are many people having to deal with the blending of families. Maybe the dad wasn't lost to something tragic. Sometimes it's divorce. Sometimes it's you've moved away and relocated, whatever the case may be. And then you're having to figure out how to move forward with the bonus dad. When people might feel like you're dishonoring the dad to have the bonus dad, whatever the case may be. I like that you said it's really ultimately about the children.
Yeah, it gotta be. You can't do stuff off of it. It's about you, but ultimately you want to raise these babies to be the best people that they can be. And if you start putting yourself in front of them, like that blinds how you should raise your children and how you want them to be when they become an adult and of age.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, Zion, what about you? What's your perspective on this?
Of just the different ways families can be blended?
Or your thoughts about it in general?
Just in general, I would say, before I say my own perspective, just in general, I feel like we have a unconventional way of doing things now. So, like, I know you were talking about the traditional white picket fence with the 2 dogs and the beautiful baby and all that good stuff. Like, we don't, like, there's a lot of relationships that's unorthodox now.
Right.
And so because of that, a lot of times blending the families look different. Like, for example, before I got married to my spouse, there was a blending of family to a degree even before marriage, where it was you have to associate with her family as well.
Right.
And so because people don't go and right away get married, I feel like that's a way of blending.
Okay.
Because you hear it all the time now. I'm not gonna just speak from our relationship, but I've heard different things where you can get called son-in-law or daughter-in-law before you're married.
Yes.
That's very common now, and
it's very, very common.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that is when you have that title, that there is a blending of the family in that regard as well, and just also to the things you previously mentioned, like if someone's unfortunately not here or someone steps out, like a parent steps out, they'll get a fill-in or a bonus parent. So.
That happens often.
So that's a whole nother perspective of because sometimes we're talking about blended families and we're talking about within our family, like with our kids and our situation, and you bring in a whole nother thing. Listen, you're talking about 2 different families. People get married and then you have to blend those families together.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. Let me tell you, it's hit or miss.
It's hit or miss.
It's hit or miss.
It can be tough.
I've talked to some people where those families have blended in so well, they're like one family.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes when it's just like, oh my goodness. I'm tired. You see, I'm sort of like, I'm going through my own past trauma because, many of you know that I was married 31 years before my late husband passed away. And now I'm newly married. I tell you, bringing families together. Sometimes you can make or break a marriage if you're not committed to the family that you've created.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if you get married, you've created a new family.
Exactly.
And you want the blending of that. So
exactly.
That's a whole nother take on it. For me, it's amazing. It's crazy because my story is for you, it's the trying to blend the family, bringing somebody in with young children.
Yes.
For me and my new husband, it has been trying to create a blended family with adult children. Let me tell you, the dynamics aren't really that different. Right? Because you're still having to navigate how do you honor your children, what your children's needs might be sensitive to what's going on with them, and at the same time, honor your next step, right? Honor your life. And the tricky part about that is even when you're talking about your situation, when there's a father figure or the bonus dad, here's the thing, there are no guarantees.
Right.
So what makes it so gut-wrenching is that you're putting this family together, you're blending this family together. you're asking people to come along on this journey with you, right? But there are no guarantees.
Yeah.
Like, what happens if you go through that whole thing of blending and then it doesn't go to the next level, right? Yeah. Now you got this guilt and all of that. So for me, because my children lost their father, there was an extra sensitivity that I had about that, because it was like they've already gone through this trauma. And I'm talking about because of the length of time that I was married, this was life. This was how life was. We had routines and we had things that were normal traditions and all of that. And so here I come, on the other side of this storm in my life, being blessed now with a second chance. But that's my second chance. How do you bring that together for your children and say, well, these are the traditions we used to have, but I want to honor my new life as well, and say we want to do something a little different. That's not easy.
No, it's not.
That's not easy.
No. And I never thought about it with, like older children. And it's definitely the same, but now they've grown into young adults or adults, and now they have like a mind of their own. They have their way of how they feel, like they're expressing it in different ways versus, my two daughters, don't get me wrong, they express their feelings too, but like they're still learning. Right. I'm still having to teach them, like, no, baby, this is how this is supposed to go. When you got adults, they're like, well, Mom, you didn't taught me everything. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't know everything. We still need Mama's touch and Daddy's touch. Don't get me wrong, but they look at life a little differently. So I could only imagine.
But you would hope. You would hope. Because, listen, we're on the show to keep it real. I mean, that's what it is. So in my situation, my particular situation, for the most part, my kids embraced my new season. My current husband actually sat down and had a conversation with my children before even thinking about proposing, because he wanted their permission. Which that's one of the things that he's so dope. Yeah, I know.
I was about to say that's dope. I didn't know you was about to say that, but that is dope.
But here's the thing: it has not been seamless. Yeah. Because even while there might be some consensus cognitively, Mom needs to move on with her life.
Right. Yeah.
You're still talking about that child. When I say child, I mean as your offspring. Yeah. Has experienced you in one way. Yeah. And it can become very difficult to make the turn. And so while for the most part of my situation, it has been wonderful, I will say it has not been without hiccups. Yeah. Where it's sort of like, well, no, I don't agree with you doing this differently. Or what about my dad? Mm-hmm. How do you still honor my dad? Yeah. And for me and for anybody out there that you find yourself in a situation, that's so difficult. Like, how do you honor your next season? Respect the new journey that God has allowed you to be on, while feeling like you always have to look backwards. Ooh. It's like driving a car and having to constantly look out of your back window. Mm-hmm. It's difficult. You're going to crash. Yeah. So for me, it was difficult in how to communicate that I'm not forgetting what was before, and I honor it. Right. But at the same time, I needed to give myself permission to embrace my new without feeling like I needed to apologize.
Right. That's you hit that right there. Right. Without feeling the need to apologize. That part right there. Yeah. I know we could talk all day. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. And my personal stance, because this is, my experience as well. You always kind of want to hang on to what was, but at the same time, I believe you can honor something that was, but still appreciate the transition into something greater. And so when you transition to a new season of your life, you can't look back. You can appreciate everything that was. There's certain principles, there's certain ways we were raised that I'm going to instill into my children one day. and I'm going to uphold that image of that, of that family, but still be able to appreciate as an adult, I'm an independent thinker now. I experienced everything I need to experience. So now I know I have my tools already. I have my resources. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, like I said, and because I have those tools and resources, that's me expressing my gratitude and my appreciation to what was, but still looking forward to a new season, this new transition.
Oh, I love that. An open perspective.
Okay, y'all. Okay. So listen, we're going to have to take a commercial break. But I promise you, we're going to pick right up there, because I am going to tell you, this is the thing that keeps us stuck.
Yeah.
We worship at the altar of what was.
Yeah.
It's possible for something to have been so good in one season.
Yeah.
And then the new season come, and it's okay to say that was really, really good, but you do not have to bring everything from your past season into the now.
Right.
Sometimes the past season is to form us.
Mm-hmm.
It was to give us that foundation. Yeah. But I'm telling you, man, my first job was at McDonald's, and I loved it. But I'm telling you, at 55, if I'm still saying that job was so good and I still need to be there, first of all, you're not getting your fries on time, because I don't move like that. I'm gonna just tell you right now, I would be fired. Come on, hot fries. No, when I get to you, and they might be cold, because I'm old and I don't run like that anymore. So yeah, okay. So listen, we're gonna take this quick commercial break, y'all. Come right on back, and we're going to continue to have this very, very important discussion. See you then.
Catch the wave of success with Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa. Unlock your purpose, align it with your entrepreneurial spirit, and witness your business thrive. This isn't just about authenticity, it's about building a foundation so solid, your business becomes synonymous with profitability. Tune in as we delve into marketing strategies that work and create an empire that stands on business. Because when purpose meets strategy, success is inevitable. Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa, where authenticity meets profitability.
Okay. Welcome back to What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z. You guys, we have been having this discussion today about families, and in particular, the blending of families. Or I'm going to say, maybe it's just the whole redefinition of families. Maybe it's not even the blending of families, right?
Yeah.
What, like, we talk about family, and we said that starting out, that sometimes we call friends family and all that. If you're a part of a Greek organization, we say family. Like, brother. So brother, sister.
No, I'm saying our brother. Don't get me started by them.
I don't even think that was a good brother.
We just gonna get off of that.
Listen, I ain't scared of y'all.
You better be scared of me.
I was about to say, hey, you sitting right next to me.
I know. I got good.
You sitting right next to me. But really, in all honesty, when we talk about how to redefine family, and I guess, on the front side of that, the other side of that commercial, Zion had talked about the ability to honor what was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's big.
And then be able to move into the next.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm going to tell y'all, sometimes I think the issue when we talk about defining family is that we're held hostage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, it's like, this is how we do it, and this is how it's supposed to be, and this is how it, and it's like, listen, anything that doesn't grow is problematic.
Yeah, you're not giving people the space to grow, and that's going to build up resentment.
Yes, exactly. And when I said the part about being able to do that without apology, I will tell you that when I lost my late husband, and I'm going to use this word, I had the audacity to get married again. Goodness gracious, y'all! You would thought that I went out and
You JFK's killer or something, boy.
I was getting ready to say unalive people. Y'all know they don't say kill people no more. They say unalive.
Yeah,
which I don't like that, because unalive make it sound like it wasn't that bad. You killed somebody.
Yeah, killing is killing.
Yeah, killing is killing. But you would think I had done that, because people were so offended by the audacity that I had not to die with my dead.
preach to the choir. Yes. Yes. If I could get up and shout, I would, y'all. I'm just saying. She just said a whole bunch.
Yeah, so and I'm going to say it's not just in our situation.
Yeah.
Many of our viewers, you want to pivot, you want to transition,
Yes.
you want to explore what's next, and you're held hostage by, well, no, this is how we always do it, and this is how that's supposed to look. So
that's not fair.
Go ahead and shout, Amber.
Ooh, if
or just even just a former like image of yourself, because people have this image of you and they don't allow you to grow as well. So not even just being held back by that as well.
Absolutely.
Listen, people are entitled. Okay, I'm just go ahead and say it.
Say it.
They are entitled.
Speak your mind, please.
And they want to hold you hostage.
Okay.
They want you to stay bonded.
Yeah, stir the cup.
Yep.
Yep.
They don't want you to be authentically and fully happy. Okay.
Right.
They want to stand in the back of the room saying, "Hey, yeah, I want you to be happy," but want to pillow talk. Once you become happy, pillow talk. Yes, I'm gonna say it. Pillow talk.
No,
okay?
say it. Don't hold back.
And
I get the feeling that this is
a
personal.
little.
This is personal.
Yep. Behind
We're
the
gonna
curtain.
stir the pot. Go ahead, stir the pot.
Want to talk behind the curtain? You know what I'm saying? To other folk.
Okay.
Thinking it ain't gonna get back.
Okay.
Because they mad at how their life is.
Pillow talk.
And that maybe God didn't bless them with the person that they need, because guess what? They ain't ready yet. Okay.
That's facts. They're not ready.
They just ain't ready yet. So don't get mad because God is supplying us with our people.
Yeah, you gotta grow. Don't be worried about my growth.
And that part right there.
You know what I'm saying?
Worried about what's sitting your growth right now. Okay. Maybe you ain't planting the right seeds. Maybe your fertilizer is just bad. Okay. You might need to go back to the home.
Some more sunlight. Open up that window.
Or maybe go to back to the Home Depot or Lowe's and tell them you got a defective bat.
Okay, so
I said fertilizer.
Stop right there. Let me smell. Is this Long Island I see?
No, it ain't no Long Island.
I don't know. I don't know. It's coffee beans up in there.
So listen,
I
y'all.
wish it was a little bit of tequila.
But Amber brings a good point. And listen, and the thing about it is, because we're here to talk real
talk. Yeah.
This is real talk.
Yeah.
What happens is, and nothing can get your blood boiling more than family.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm going to tell you, first of all, it's because you have this expectation that family should always have your back or help you get to your next and all of that.
And that's a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword. And I'm not going to say necessarily for those people that can't make that turn with you. Sometimes it's not out of malice. People want to keep you where they met you.
Yep.
Right? This is you. Yes. Like when I talk to people that are still trying to hold me hostage, they talk about who I was. But this is what you normally do, and this is how you always do. And I'm like, I know. It's a lot of things I used to do that we don't do anymore.
Right.
Yeah. You know, understand there was a time before when we used to like get on a horse and click, 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 and that's how we got places. But you know, now we got horsepower. You understand what I'm saying?
Turbo.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
sport mode.
But is that on them or is that on us?
Hey, you know.
So even when you talk about the blending of families you recently married, like how do you navigate that when you honestly can't control how people decide to come together or to blend or to be accepting? How do you do that?
Oh boy. Okay.
I was thinking that in my head too. I'm like,
that question got some weight on it, you know. And it hits different. So from my personal experience, like I said, I'm newlywed. Been married for about a little more than a month now. And it's been my mission so far to make sure we all come together. You know, I think it takes a lot of intentionality with your spouse, first and foremost, and to communicate and make sure y'all are both on the same level, the same page, and the same intention, so there's no misinterpretation. That's the first thing. I feel like that's the foundation. Once we both are under the same consensus, you know, from there, you know, the intention has been to blend the families together, especially after a beautiful ceremony, a beautiful reception where families were able to come together, meet each other, talk, and really enjoy it. So one of the ways I like to pull people together is holidays. You know, so, you know, I want to throw stuff, whether it be Christmas, Thanksgiving. You know, we have the 2 bedrooms, so, you know, have a space, you know, kind of dedicated to guests, as well as myself, you know, my little media room. But when guests are here, it's dedicated to the guests. And so when they come, they have somewhere to stay, they have food, they have a roof over their head. They need me to be their personal Uber driver. I DoorDash, y'all, so I got a little experience. I don't mind putting a little miles on my car. You know what I'm saying? I do that for family. You feel me? No charge. You don't even got to tip me. But or you could, if you insist.
I was about to say, hey, the tip part, was you actually soliciting that a little bit?
I'm just saying, I'm putting in your mind a little bit.
I see. I like how you did that there.
No, but I like to just take advantage of trips and holidays and just be intentional of having a space for people to congregate, come together, and really focus on developing relationships with each other, family. Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, sometimes, regardless of all of your efforts,
it just don't work.
I'll tell you, I spent years, decades trying to blend two families, and it never happened.
Yeah.
It never happened for me. And at some point, it can become a strain on the family that you're trying to create.
Exactly.
Because you're trying to bring everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, y'all. This is I think this is the crux when we talk about families.
Mm-hmm.
We have expectations
Absolutely.
of people, right? Here's the thing. If you want to know what the definition of disappointment is having unmet expectations that you had on any particular person or situation.
That is indeed true.
And I'm telling you, when we talk about this thing with family, and that's why I said we're gonna have to run this back to a part 2.
Absolutely.
So that we can delve even deeper, because at the end of the day, y'all, we're talking about families. We have our experiences. Yeah. Some of you have your experiences. Some of you are grandparents raising your grandkids, right? Some of you may have untraditional families, non-traditional families where mom and mom, dad and dad, whatever the case may be. Some of you may be in situations where you have become that foster parent kind of situation, where you are raising children that have come from at-risk situations, whatever it might be, y'all. So when we're talking about blended families and non-traditional families and all of that, it runs the gamut.
Yeah.
But here is the thing. At the end of the day, we have to figure out how we navigate in these units and maintain our own individuality.
Yeah.
I'm the purpose prophetess. How do you maintain your own calling?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you stand firm, stand on business? Shameless plug to my other show. How do you stand on business with who you're called to be?
Yeah.
And still honor what's around you, but not be so committed to other people accepting or understanding or agreeing with where you're called to be.
Yeah.
Like, how do we do that?
I think the best thing for me is to, when you're having these expectations, I was just talking to my wife yesterday, right, where there was a conversation where she was upset because something wasn't done to her as she would have done. And so I was like, that's the problem. I'm saying, you assuming that person is you. And so I think in order to avoid having these unrealistic expectations for each other, we have to handle the situation with grace. Mm-hmm. We have to respect people's current situations and their current boundaries. And we have to be patient. I think a lot of times, sometimes impatience is what really drives that sword into maybe dividing family when those expectations aren't met. Be patient and allow people to, because sometimes you can be ready for something before someone else is.
Oh.
And so sometimes you have to handle the situation with grace and patience and allow that person to develop. They will in time. So
he better talk.
Yes, no, that's what I'm learning.
That's
because that's not what I would have said last week, y'all. Like I said, we still trying to get people together and stuff.
Amen. Yeah. Or you could just be like this while you're here, and not put hidden expectations on people. Okay, I'm done hurting my own feelings. So guess what? I'm just gonna love people where they are.
Oh, that was a whole word.
And if that requires me to love them all the way over there, and I'm gonna stand right here and sit, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Okay? You teach people how to treat you, and if they can't respect the person that you are now and the boundaries that you have, doesn't mean that I don't love you. It just means that I just gotta love you from a distance.
Ooh.
More peaceful that way.
When I tell you I love so much of both of you, the grace and then the ability to let go and to learn the good and goodbye. Y'all, goodbye is called goodbye for a reason, because there is a good component sometimes to the bye, right? And I know we hold on. It becomes so difficult when it's family.
Yeah.
Because people will judge and question you. You can be in a situation where there's a toxic family member that you need to disengage from, and people go, I can't believe you don't talk to your mama. I can't believe you and your sister are y'all sisters. I can't believe you're not talking to your sister. And it's like, because there's this expectation that because of DNA and blood, that people are in alignment. Listen to me. It is possible to share blood, to share DNA, to share history, and not be in alignment.
Yes.
And so, to your point, Amber, when you say, I can still love you, but put some distance. This is not about trying to, be difficult. It's not about not loving, not having loyalty and all of that. But you said, I'm tired of hurting my own feelings.
Yeah, I am.
And I am telling you, we try to sometimes serve other people from an empty cup.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, you have got to fill your cup. And what that means is being intentional, showing grace. I give you the right to not agree with what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Now, I didn't always, because there was a time in my life I would have spent, come on, agree, let me explain. If you really understood, you would understand. And if you really heard me out, you would agree with me. And you have to get to the point where you say, you have the absolute right to think that I am dead wrong.
Yeah, it all comes down to that respect. Right? Like I said, just respect people's boundaries or their emotions towards you, whether you feel like they're justified or not. Just respect where they at, and just meet the situation with grace and patience. And if they ever change how they feel, then maybe there's a conversation to be had. But in the meantime, like Amber said, I love you from a distance because I respect whatever your decision is.
Yeah, understand that forgiveness in whatever situation it is for you. It's not for them. So you can love them and forgive them, but they don't got to be in your orbit.
Absolutely.
And bottom line of it is, I say this all the time to people in my community when I talk about being unbothered and unapologetic. I'm not talking about being rude or not caring. What I am saying is, at some point in time, we have to stop negotiating who we are with other people. Do you agree? Let me negotiate this part of my soul. Let me negotiate this part of my calling. Listen, there will be people in your life that may never understand or agree with any particular decision you have made. What I find that most of us do, and what I certainly did for many years of my life, was if there was no agreement, I assumed I wasn't supposed to do it. I would wait for agreement. I want to start a business. No, nobody agrees. Okay, but what if I did this? And what if I did that? And you're waiting for people to go, yes, I agree. And it's as if when they magically agree, then all of the problems go away. No. Oftentimes people, I remember, y'all, okay, we're going to end the episode, but I remember The Pursuit of Happiness.
That's a good one.
One of my favorite scenes in that movie with Will Smith and his son that was playing his son, and this was based on a true story, is his son was playing basketball, whatever. And so the dad is talking to the son, and I'm going to get this wrong, y'all. So don't, somebody like, now what they said was, y'all, I'm just paraphrasing with a G. So the son was basically saying what he wanted to do was play basketball. Like that's what he wanted to do, grow up and play basketball. And the dad says to him, basically, that, do you know how many people try to do that? And that's not, that's a pipe dream, and you need to come up with something else, and blah, 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 blah. Right? And so many of us in our lives have heard that. We've heard people say that. I remember when I was about to start my business 10 years ago. That is what I heard. It was like, what? Do you know how many people tried to start a business and it failed, and you don't have the money, and what about this and what about that? So people will always speak to you from their own limitation.
Yes.
What was so dope in this scene, though, was the dad was intuitive enough to see the dejection on his son's face. And he pivoted. And he said, wait a minute. never let anybody tell you what you can't do. Because most of the time when people tell you what you can't do, they're talking from their own limitations or their own fears or their own inadequacies, right? And so we're going to wrap up this particular part when we talk about families from the context of, for those of you that are out there and you're dealing with blending families and making decisions about families, whether it's being a single parent and having to navigate all of the nuances of that, whether it's being remarried and having to deal with all of the nuances of that, being newly married and trying to bring people together and do all the nuances of that, or whatever your family look like. Yeah. What I want you to take away from today is that at the end of the day, we do the things that we can. We try to help people understand where we are, but we don't negotiate away our call. We don't negotiate away our next season. We don't negotiate away the things that we need to be doing for ourselves in the context of that family because other people don't see it. Mm-hmm. I promise you, for the rest of your life, if you're going to do anything great, there will be people that will be standing on the sidelines saying, that's not going to work. That doesn't make sense. Why are you doing it? What about this? And what about that? And oftentimes we get into the turmoil, particularly with families, because we are waiting for agreement. And I'm going to tell you, the A word that you should be looking for is not agreement, but alignment. Mm-hmm. All right? Okay. So anyway, you guys, we are going to double back on this topic. Yes. But here's what I'm going to challenge you. For those of you that watch this episode, I want you to go into our What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z Facebook community. And I want you to listen, continue this conversation in there. We would love to know your perspective on it. And we would also love to know how we can best talk about or address your particular family dynamics. Absolutely. So go in there and give us some feedback and allow us the opportunity to dish on some other nuances of this whole family conundrum, like the family. Okay. All right, you guys. So listen, let's keep this conversation brewing. We got to ask questions. We got to listen to understand. And then we have to acknowledge the unique challenge that each generation or each family faces. And then we got to look for common ground, because trust me, it's there. So until next time, keep sipping and keep talking. Not Long Island iced tea, but tea. Tune in next time for another thought-provoking and entertaining conversation that bridges the generational gap, one cup at a time. Take care.